Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to talk about Sam Walton and his book Made in America. And for a guy who was, until his death, the richest man in the world, a lot of people don't read this book. And here it is. It's like a $5 paperback, I think, on Amazon. Not a lot of people have heard of this, and it surprises me. I could probably take this to a Walmart and go to the store manager and say, "Have you read this book?" Pretty much the gospel of Sam Walton. And I'm going to start this review off by reading the 10 principles that allowed him to form the company and become the richest man in the world. Now, you might ask yourself, do I know these principles? You probably don't, so listen up. He has a little retrospective before he talks about, okay, rule number one, commit to your business. Believe in it more than anybody else. I think I overcame every single one of my personal shortcomings by the sheer passion I brought to my work. I don't know if you're born with this kind of passion or if you can learn it, but I do know you need it. If you love your work, you'll be out there every day trying to do the best you possibly can, and pretty soon everybody around will catch the passion from you like a fever. And what he's talking about is he's talking about he's involved with his business. He knew everybody's name. He was in stores more than anybody is now. And when people feel that passion, they feed off of it. They feed off of it. It'll spread like a virus. And it's leading by example. He was a leader. People followed him. That's how he became rich. He built all his stores by taking on debt. And because he didn't spend his money, he was able to grow the company. Now I've read this book. I know what he went through, and it's pretty amazing that a guy with he did get a bachelor's degree in college, and he was a smart guy, but he was a modest guy. He didn't have big town connections. He did it by grunt work, by working his ass off, and by growing it slowly. And he had a little help from his family, but for the most part, this guy was just he just knew what he needed to do, and he did it. He didn't he didn't say, "Oh, this isn't for me," or "I can't do it," or "It's too hard." No, he wasn't lazy. But again, rule number two, he had the belief of sharing your profits with your associates and treat them as partners. In turn, they will treat you as a partner, and together you will perform beyond your wildest expectations. Remain a corporation and retain control if you like, but behave as a servant leader in partnership and encourage your associates to hold a stake in your company. Offer them discounted stock and grant them stock for their retirement. It's the single best thing we ever did. And a lot of people don't know this, but most of the early associates in Walmart became millionaires. Like, I wouldn't say millionaires, but they were pretty much set for life because of the amount of stock that he had to pay some people in stock, in equity or whatever. But they got a lot of value out of helping this company start. So now the company's, it's not the same it used to be, but let's just say that Walmart as it started turned was very profitable for the people who worked for Sam Walton, and he shared the profits with them. Rule number three: motivate your partners. Money and ownership alone aren't enough. Constantly, day by day, think of new and more interesting ways to motivate and challenge your partners. Set high goals, encourage competition, and keep score. Make bets with outrageous payoffs. If things get stale, cross-pollinate, have managers switch jobs with one another to stay challenged. Keep everybody guessing as to what your next trick is going to be. Don't become too predictable. Changing it up is a good way to look at life. If something's not working, say, what am I doing? What's not working? And what is? And let's focus on what is working. And switch up what isn't working. Or get rid of it. Don't do it anymore. I'll give you a good example. Steve Jobs had this philosophy. At one time, Apple made 150 different products. When Steve realized that philosophy, what are we doing? What's working? What's not? They came out with the iPod and made around 4 to 8 different products and ended up becoming one of the richest companies in the world because they did 5 products really right, really well. They made the Mac. They ended up making the iMac, the iPhone, and the iPod, and the different iPods that they have, the selection that they have. They did all those products really well and got out of making 150 different things. The Apple TVs and all those little computers that look like crap. They focused on sleek design and doing it really well and only making a few products and managing that made them one of the richest companies in the world. So focus on doing what you need to do, doing what's right and what's working. And don't be afraid to change it up. Okay, rule 4. Communicate everything you possibly can to your partners. The more they know, the more they'll understand, the more they can help you, the more they'll care. Once they care, there's no stopping them. If you don't trust your associates to know what's going on, then they don't really know what's going on. And and that means that you don't consider them partners. Information is power, and the gain you get from empowerment is more than the offset of risk of informing your competitors. Because if your associates know what's going on, they can let Target know what's going on. Which I don't know if this still goes on today like it used to, but I don't feel like Walmart directly competes with them as much as they used to. Now I've heard Dollar General is actually cutting into Walmart's profits, which is interesting. Dollar General's growing like crazy. You want to buy some stock in Dollar General. But rule number 5. Appreciate everything your associates do for the business. So appreciation. I'm not going to read that whole statement, but just appreciation goes a long way. And when he talks about motivating, appreciating and thanking people in a genuine way will help to motivate them. I saw a story about children raised with criticism and children raised with appreciation and kindness and constructive criticism. So the criticism children turn out to lead much worse lives than the children that are raised in a positive way, without criticism and they flourish, man. The people that are raised with appreciation, and they turn out to lead much better lives, and they have a lot better, what do they call it, self-esteem, man. They have it. They have the confidence. But the people who are raised with criticism and always told they're not good enough begin to believe it at some point. It's learned helplessness, man. You can stick a dog in a cage and slowly electrocute it just a little bit, and then increase it, and it won't move. But if you shock it really hard at first, yeah, it's gonna jump. It's gonna get out of the cage. But learned helplessness, man, that's tough stuff. Criticism can lead to that when it starts from the day you're born and your parents instill all that in you. So just appreciation goes a long way. Rule 6, celebrate your success. Find some humor in your failures. Don't take yourself so seriously. Loosen up, and everybody around you will loosen up. Have fun. Show enthusiasm always. There's a little bit more here, but don't forget that when you have enough and you've found enough success, celebrate a little bit. It's like that Ty Lopez says. I think it was maybe Joel Salatin who told him this. You go through the winter, and that's the tough part of your life. But when you get to the fall and it's time to harvest, celebrate. You've put the work in. Celebrate. Enjoy it. Okay. Another rule is listen to everyone in your company, and that's kind of what we've been getting at. So I'm not going to read that whole rule. But the thing is, what he's saying by listen is your associates, the people under your subordinates, they have ideas. And you got to let them grow and to let them become more competent. You got to give them a chance to at least express those ideas. Or let me tell you, those ideas will go to waste and they'll go away. And if you give them the idea that they can't share what they know, they're going to go somewhere else and they're going to help your competitors. They're going to help other people in other companies that are competing with you. Or it doesn't matter what it is, but listen. And rule 8, exceed customers' expectations. Any business that deals directly with a customer you need to change their perception of your business in a positive manner. And you need to exceed what they think when they come in there for the first time, and they'll come back every time. It never fails. They'll come back, and they're going to stick with you, and word of mouth is going to bring their little friends in there. So exceed their expectations. And if you don't exceed their expectations and they complain, apologize and ask them how you're going to make it better. Now that's simple, but a lot of places don't do that. So give them a chance to complain. Let them complain so you know what you did wrong. And rule number 9, and this is important. I can give you some advice from Warren Buffett, and this is pretty much the way Sam Walton thought. Control your expenses, because there's going to come a day the winter's going to fall hard on you. If you spent too much money Celebrating, like I said, when you get to the fall, celebrate. But don't celebrate too much. Don't get too comfortable. Because if you do not manage your expenses, you need to be always saving, preparing for that hard winter to come. Because at some point, you need the money backed up to deal with some hard times. So manage your expenses, and that's what Sam Walton did. He built Walmart by taking on debt, but he always managed his expenses. I'm pretty sure he drove a truck that was a 1960 like Chevrolet till he died. I mean, he never bought any expensive cars. Their house was paid off by the time he was like 40, and most of his success came later on in life. So he was preparing for the worst. He was never really comfortable. He was always working hard. He didn't spend all his money, actually. I mean, it pretty much went to his kids and all that. I mean, Sam Walton never bought anything. He bought a company jet, and they had to pretty much tie him down and make him do it. And the only reason he bought a company jet was so he could go see merchandisers and get better deals and buy all his stuff like by traveling. Because if you stay in one place, they don't come to you always. You got to go to them. So by controlling your expenses, you can limit your mistakes. Because if you get in the hole and you don't have the money to cover it, I mean, you're going to be in trouble, and you're going to have to take out some loans that are going to hurt you in the long run. But I'm not going to get into finances. But if you're too inefficient, and this is what he thought, and this is back to controlling your expenses, you're going to go out of business if you're too inefficient. If you don't control your expenses, you have a higher risk. You run a high risk, my friend. High risk. Rule number 10, swim upstream. Go the other way. Ignore conventional wisdom. If everybody else is doing it one way, there's a good chance you're going to be able to do it another way and do it better than they're doing anything. If everybody else is doing it one way, you're going to be able to find your niche by going the exact opposite direction. Don't be prepared for a lot of folks to wave you down and tell you you're headed the wrong way. But be prepared for a lot of folks to wave you down and tell you you're going the wrong way. And one rule of being an entrepreneur, somebody that's doing their own thing, people are going to tell you you're wrong. And if you listen to those people, you're probably not going to be very successful because your idea was one that they haven't had. You're going in a direction they're not willing to go. And if they were willing to go, then that would leave you without an opportunity because they would be doing what you're trying to do. So realize that if you've got ideas other people don't have, there's probably a reason for that. And you're probably going to be successful if you follow that. Your intuition and the ideas you get in your head, they're one of a kind. You're an individual. Listen to those because you don't get them all the time. Don't forget them and don't ignore them. So that was his final rule. And he said, I guess in all my years, what I heard more often than anything was a town of less than 50,000 population cannot support a discount store for very long. And that's what he started in. He started in the dime business, the dime store, a discount store. He started with very, 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 very small. But he found a way to make money. And then he found new ideas, which helped him change what he was doing throughout. I think he said he did it for like 5 years, just a nickel and dime store. And he actually franchised, forget the name of the store, but he was a franchise owner of through another company. What was it? It wasn't Woolworths, but it was those kind of small nickel and dime stores in the 1950s. And then he started Walmart in like 1964, I think, which was actually the same year that Target and another company that still left, Kmart, started that same year as well. All three started the same year. And Walmart's obviously been the dominant one. Target's still doing pretty well, but Walmart's definitely the world's largest retailer. So he built something out of nothing. He literally he listened to the ideas and he didn't even come up with the name Walmart. One of his people he was working with did. And he didn't like it at first, but it ended up, he listened, and it became Walmart. Now, there's a lot of knowledge in this book, and I'm not going to get deep into this book. Those 10 ideas were pretty much what I want to talk about, but let's just say he was a blue-collar guy that was never afraid to listen to new ideas and ideas he had. He wasn't lazy, he was smart, and he worked hard, and he found out that he could become the richest man in the world doing that, and that's what happened, and that's a story. So take those ideas, and what comes from that, the knowledge you just gained, learn and live your life. So y'all have a good one, man. Getting a little too philosophical here, but y'all have a good one.